Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. The Canadian National Blind Hockey Tournament takes place this weekend in Toronto. The tournament hosts players from all across the country, including many friends of this show who are traveling today and tomorrow to get to the big smoke. Here to give you a preview of what to expect is Canada Blind Hockey's program manager, Luca DeMontis. Luca, great to chat with you once again. Thank you for making time this morning.
Dave, thanks for having me.
Luca, I can only imagine what these next couple days are going to look like in terms of preparation. How are you holding up?
I'm holding up well. I like to think I got the easy job. The planning's all easy. It's all fun. The players, the athletes, the ones that have been training for the last 8 to 10, and some of them 12 months since the very last tournament, they're the dedicated ones that they've got a busy week ahead of them.
That's a very humble response. You're a humble man, but I know you guys are working hard behind the scenes. How many players and teams are you anticipating this year?
Yeah, great question. So we have over 200 athletes and volunteer coaches taking part of this. Yeah, it's going to be our biggest tournament yet. So it's going to be the biggest and the best blind hockey tournament we've ever hosted. Myself, Matt Morrow, Mel Carey, our board of directors, we're extremely excited to welcome everyone to Toronto this year for our 9th Canadian National Blind Hockey Tournament. So a lot of hard work, yes, has gone into it, but it's all for a good cause and it's all for an amazing group of athletes.
You say the 9th year. I was at your Quebec City tournament in 2012, and the beginnings were humble. What does this growth mean that we're talking about 200 athletes, coaches, volunteers making their way to the Mattamy Centre this weekend?
Well, I think the beginnings were humble, but I think the growth has also been humble. I think it just speaks volume as per how important sport is in life, and how important the parasport of blind hockey is for our participants. We do get a lot of messages, phone calls, emails, all types of communication, really engagement from the players asking, when is the tournament? How can I register? And this is even months before we even open up the registration process. So it is very humbling, but it's very important to know that there is a space for these athletes to be able to compete at a recreational level, at a high performance level, and just that opportunity to play the game they love.
When you're talking about the number of people who will be part of this tournament this weekend in Toronto, what are some of the highlights going to be? I know last year there was a huge focus put on growing the women's game, and you got a couple great games from the women's teams. What are going to be some of the highlights that you're looking ahead to this year?
Well, Canadian Blind Hockey, we're still dedicated to grow the women's game with our girls and women's coordinator, Laura Mark. She's putting on an amazing Girls and Women's Blind Hockey Summit. This will be the 2nd annual one. It'll take place starting on Thursday, March 23rd, going all the way to Saturday, March 25th. There will be a couple of showcase games for these athletes that will take place in it. Another cool aspect of this tournament is we will be hosting the 4th installment of Canada versus USA in the International Blind Hockey Series. We've also got 4 teams in the open division, 2 teams in the low division development division. We've got separate children and youth divisions with over 40 children and youth taking part. So it's a jam-packed weekend full of blind hockey action that we strongly encourage everyone. If you're in the Toronto area, come on out and check out the sport. And if you're not in the Toronto area, all our games are broadcasted on our YouTube channel. So you can watch the comfort of some blind hockey right from your own home.
For everybody from coast to coast on that one. Is that the broadcast that Nico Cardarelli is going to be doing?
That is Nico Cardarelli, the official voice of blind hockey, yes.
Oh man, Nico was on the Kelly and Ramya show yesterday. Sounded fantastic. I know he's catching up with Brock Richardson throughout the week as well. Looking ahead to that big weekend for you guys. Always love hearing the beautiful pipes of Nico doing those broadcasts. You mentioned there's going to be another one of the Canada-USA International Series. As you look abroad, how would you describe the growth of the sport outside the sphere of Canada?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for putting me on the spot this morning.
Yeah, what can I say, Luca? Hope you had your coffee before you spoke to me.
No, yeah, we're dedicated to help growing the sport around the world. That is one of our missions with Canadian Blind Hockey. So it's actually very encouraging to inform all the viewers and listeners that Finland has actually traveled with 11 players to this year's tournament. So they're bringing a big contention. As you can see, one of the Finnish coaches is behind me on the phone. So that's super cool. But we're excited to welcome them. We're excited to help new countries that potentially want to start blind hockey programs in their country, we're very eager to bring this sport to as many countries and as many participants around this world who are blind and partially sighted that want to play the game, right? So we're continuing to grow this sport, not only within Canada, as we've added a couple more programs across our country this year, but just as dedicated to grow the sport around the world.
The athletes are developing internally, and that's a huge testament to a lot of the work from local coaches and local volunteers and the hard work of the athletes themselves. What have you noticed? Because you've been involved with this thing pretty much right since the beginning. What have you noticed about talent development and the growth of players over the course of the last decade?
The talent is growing immensely. But I think before you even think about the talent or speak about it, you talk about the dedication and the passion that all these athletes have. And that's one thing that they all share. So despite the disability of visual impairment, they all still share that same love for this game, that passion, that drive, the dedication to improve their craft, right? To become a better skater or to get a harder shot or whatever their own individual skills that they want to improve. But we're seeing it on a firsthand basis. We're seeing it where players are getting extra ice for themselves. Some players are going to local family skates with their family just to get more time on the ice. And that's so important in the development for these athletes.
Yeah, you're building the grassroots, you're building the elite. What do you think is needed for the sport to continue to grow and continue to gain awareness?
Wow, that's another great question. I think a lot is needed, but I think we're on the right path. We're very lucky to have amazing partners, right? From AMI, CNIB, Daniels, Electra, Mannion, and the list goes on. But these huge partners help us make this game accessible here in Canada. And that's so important, right? Cost is always a barrier. So we try to do anything that we can to make sure that it's never a barrier for any youth or adult that wants to play this game, right? So I think we're on the right track. I think the team's growing internally with our organization and also across the country. More players are playing the sport today than they were yesterday. And I think if we can get more athletes on the ice tomorrow than today, I think that's a huge win for us, right? I think it's so important just to touch down into these communities, right? I've had the joy of traveling across Canada this year, hosting Triad events, right? And we've gone to a couple of places where we haven't been in a while, and you see the attendance numbers and you see the youth coming out smiling, talking about other blind hockey players, how they love watching our games on YouTube. And if I can call Jason Yuha for them because they want to tell him that he scored a nice goal, or if they can get in a TikTok video with Joe Fornazier, I think just speaks volume that our players in our community are not only role models, but they're becoming ambassadors for the sport within our country and around the world.
That's such a beautiful, genuine answer, and I'm going to offer you a little bit of a snarky response. You got to keep these good pun names in these organizations. My favorite remains the Hartford Brailers. The Hartford Brailers is my favorite one down there in the U.S. But you get the Ibu and the Sea Dogs. You guys have all kinds of great puns going on at the local organization level.
Yeah, we can't take any credit for that. That's all the local clubs. They come up with it all themselves. There's the Moncton Sea Cats and the Seeing Ice Dogs and the Sea Hawks, right? So they you got to give them a little credit, right? And it speaks volume on the clubs themselves, right? The dedication that the clubs have to go ahead and organize their season and find new participants, along with the help of Canadian Blind Hockey. We're always there to help them in any way possible, but a lot of dedication comes from the clubs across this country and around the world in their will to want to grow this game.
Luca, you mentioned if people are in the Toronto area, they can attend this event. Where should people go to find more information, whether it's to get those tickets for the event itself in downtown Toronto, or whether it's to catch the YouTube streams if they're elsewhere in the country?
Yeah, for sure. Here comes that famous plug. Tickets are absolutely free. There is no tickets needed. You are more than welcome to attend any of the games. They are all free admission. Games will be played at Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto, also formerly known as the historic Maple Leaf Gardens. If you can't make it in person, please visit our website, www.canadianblindhockey.com. Follow us across all our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and you can literally be up to date to the minute as per all our information. Our schedules are online. The link to watch all the games on our YouTube channel, that's also on our website. So if there's ever a question, feel free to even drop me an email, Luca DeMontis at blindicehockey.com. If you're watching this and you're a new participant and you want to get on the ice, please drop me an email. We'd love to get you out on the ice at a local program in your community.
Luca, I know it's going to be a busy couple days for you and the gang, but I also know it's going to be a super fun couple of days. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Thanks a lot, AMI. And yeah, we will chat soon following this tournament.
That is Luca DeMontis, Program Manager with Canada Blind Hockey. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI.TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.